Welcome to this training module titled Obtaining Electronic Consent. Throughout this presentation, electronic consent is referred to as eConsent, a term that includes the use of electronic systems to provide study information and obtain legally binding signatures. This procedure describes the process for 1. When submitting your protocol for IRB approval, you must thoroughly describe the electronic consent process and the electronic system being used. And 2, establishes the eConsent process and documentation using an electronic system. The requirements for electronic signature and informed consent are set forth in FDA Regulations 21 CFR Parts 11, 50, and 56. For Health and Human Services, the protection of human subjects are set forth in 45 CFR Part 46. The scope of this procedure applies to all individuals and designated research staff who have the responsibility of obtaining and documenting e-consent from individuals involved in human subject research at MedStar Health facilities and all affiliated and satellite locations, MedStar Georgetown University Hospital and Georgetown University Medical Center. Throughout this presentation, key terms that will be used include e-consent, which is the use of an electronic system that may employ electronic media, such as text, graphs, audio, video, to convey information related to the study and to obtain and document informed consent. The informed consent process is more than just obtaining a signature. It is a communication and decision-making process to ensure comprehension and that agreement to participate is voluntary. Personally identifiable information, also known as PII, refers to any data that can be used to identify a specific individual, such as a name on a consent form. Protecting PII is essential for maintaining individual privacy. The key responsibilities for the principal investigator and designated research staff are to understand and follow the basic principles and regulations regarding informed consent as outlined in the procedure, informed consent process and documentation. IRB approval must be obtained prior to implementation of eConsent, and a consent process does not change regardless of the media. In the first part of this procedural review, we have introduced the purpose, scope, and some key definitions about eConsent. We are now going to transition into the set of actions for conducting eConsent that replicates and enhances the traditional paper consent process using electronic systems while adhering to ethical and regulatory guidelines. The following platforms, Interlace Health eConsent Platform and MedStar Health REDCap, are systems that are 21 CFR Part 11 compliant. Although DocuSign is not an eConsent platform, the Part 11 compliant version can be used for obtaining e-signatures on an informed consent. Both Georgetown and MedStar have Part 11 compliant versions of DocuSign. Please refer to the procedure titled Use of Electronic Signatures. Both Georgetown and MedStar may limit or even prohibit the use of an external eConsent platform due to the potential of personally identifiable information leaving the facility. IRB review and approval of all external eConsent platforms must be obtained prior to use. The use of eConsent in human subject research requires prior submission and approval from the IRB. The IRB will review these materials to ensure the eConsent process is ethical, protects subjects' rights, maintains their comprehension, and addresses technology accessibility. Approaching potential subjects. When approaching a potential subject for consent in a clinical trial or research study, the fundamental principles remain the same whether using a traditional paper-based process or an eConsent system. Potential subjects will be provided with general information about the nature of the study and the IRB approves study-specific recruitment materials. If interested in participating, the investigator or designee will explain the steps of the eConsent process and study-related procedures conducted prior to consent. Considerations when using eConsent. The consent choice. All research subjects should be offered the choice to use paper or e-consent to best address their needs and to ensure dedication to the entire consent process. Alternative medium. E-consent is an alternative medium for conducting the consent process. However, it does not change the core underlying regulatory requirements. And process and documentation. The consent process and fundamental principles remain the same, regardless of the medium, paper or electronic, or location, in person or remote. The e-consent process can occur both at a physical study site with the potential subject and research team present together, or it can be conducted remotely with the potential subject and research team in different locations using an electronic platform and communication tools like video conferencing. The choice between in-person and remote e-consent depends on a specific research study and the subject's preference. However, both methods require careful planning to ensure the consent process is conducted in compliance with institutional policies and regulations. As I stated earlier, the Interlace Health electronic system for e-consent is a seamless end-to-end digital process. The approved IRB consent is built by Interlace Health and MedStar Health Application Services. In Figure 1, for research subjects already registered in the MedStar Health system, the potential research subject is added to the Interlace Health patient intake solution by an interface or manually added as needed. If a subject is not seen at a MedStar Health facility, they can be added manually to the Interlace Health patient intake solution. In Figure 2, an email is sent to a research subject, and the research coordinator instructs the potential subject through the process of receiving a link and verifying identity. In Figure 3, the informed consent process is conducted, and as you can see from the diagram, the consent can be accessed using a smartphone, tablet, or computer, and with any web browser. Figure 4, the consent is signed electronically by the subject and then by the investigator or designee. And in Figure 5, the signed e-consent is instantly archived and immediately available in a clinical trials auth folder in MedConnect. After the consent process, using auto text in MedConnect can significantly streamline documenting the consent process, especially for phrases used often, with the option to add free text as well. Let's look at the REDCap eConsent process from a high-level view. Build. All eConsents are created by MedStar Health Center for Biostatistics, Informatics, and the Data Science team. Delivery. Subjects are sent a link to retrieve the eConsent by email or text, depending on which preferred communication method is selected. eConsent process. The consent process of the introduction, explanation, comprehension, questions and answers, and documentation of consent is conducted. Documentation. Documentation of the eConsent process is completed using auto text in the electronic health record, and the signed consent is uploaded to the electronic health record with a copy to the subject. For detailed information, refer to the job aid titled Overview of the REDCap eConsent Process. Let's now focus on the three platforms of Interlace Health, REDCap, and DocuSign. Interlace Health is a commercial software product. REDCap is a web-based application, and DocuSign is a cloud-based service. Workflow. Interlace Health uses a fully automated end-to-end workflow that includes e-signature and automatically archives the signed consent to the electronic health record. REDCap provides a framework to move from paper to electronic consent, but it is not a fully automated end-to-end system. And DocuSign provides an automated e-signature service only. Compliance. All systems are 21 CFR Part 11 compliant. The workflow build. For Interlace Health, Interlace Health and MedStar Health Information Systems builds the consent form. For REDCap, MedStar Health Center for Biostatistics, Informatics, and Data Science builds the consent form. And with DocuSign, it is a simple upload using an automated predefined workflow. For detailed instructions for using the Interlace Health Intake Solution or REDCap for eConsent, please refer to the following job aids. And take note, a signed and dated informed consent is subject to an audit or inspection to verify compliance with regulations, institutional policies, and ethical guidelines governing informed consent. In summary, this procedure describes the process for protocol submissions requesting to use an electronic system to obtain informed consent and establishing the eConsent process and documentation when using an electronic system. This procedure also gives an overview of the type of consent platforms and e-signature services available for the consent process, whether in person or remote. And the 3 key takeaways. Takeaway 1. All research subjects should be offered the choice to use paper or e-consent. Takeaway 2. E-consent is an alternative medium, not a change in the regulatory requirements. And 3. The process and principles of consent remain the same regardless of the medium or location. This concludes the overview of the procedure titled Obtaining Electronic Consent. If you would like more information on this joint MedStar-Georgetown procedure, please visit the Georgetown website shared on the screen or the MedStar Health Research Institute procedures available on Starport. If you have any questions about this procedure, you should ask your manager for clarification or assistance. They can provide guidance, answer your questions, and help you understand the procedure more effectively. Thank you.